I have not given up on social media yet. In fact, I show up on social very consistently. But the main reason why is to continue to connect, to continue to serve, and to continue to invite people off of the platforms.
Hey, my name is Jenna Kutcher, and I am obsessed with all things business, marketing, numbers, and helping you to navigate both the messy and the magical seasons of this thing called life. I'm a small town mama who took a $300 camera, grew a successful photo biz, and now I work from home and run a 7-figure online business. I teach you the tried and true secrets to building a career you adore. Shy away from the real talk? No way. Money, hardship, growth, loss, and marketing are all topics we discuss here. Think of this as your one-stop shop for happy hour with a gal pal mixed with business school. Pull up a seat, make sure you're cozy, and get ready to be challenged and encouraged while you learn. This is the Goal Digger Podcast.
If social media were to go away tomorrow, would you still have a way to connect with your audience, or would your business go away with it? On April 24th, 2024, President Biden signed a bill that gives TikTok just 9 months to find a new owner or be banned in the United States. There are some major concerns around the risk of China's government forcing the current owner, the Beijing-based company ByteDance, to hand over data on American TikTok users. Now, TikTok CEO has stated that ByteDance is not controlled by the Chinese Communist Party and that all of its data on American users is stored in cloud servers owned by a US-based software company, Oracle. It's all over the news. We can't avoid it. But what does that actually mean for creators and entrepreneurs? Now, regardless of the outcome of TikTok, you're not going to lose access to it in the US immediately. However, this should be a major and massive wake-up call to content creators and business owners that we cannot rely on platforms that we don't own and can't control. And the future of any social media platform is uncertain. So what are we to do about it? How do we work with and not against the platforms we're on? Let's talk all about it today. It's all a little overwhelming, isn't it? Help desk software, payment processing, email marketing tools, blogging platforms, SEO tools, deal management tracking. Goal Digger, take a deep breath, because you don't need more tools to get more out of your business. You just need HubSpot. Their all-in-one customer platform is a dream come true for you and for every member of your team. With best-in-class campaigns and workflows to generate more leads for marketing, category-leading pipeline management to help sales close more deals, powerful AI chatbots, and a knowledge base to help service teams scale, HubSpot is built to deliver results and revenue faster to help your business grow. So dump the disconnected tools and the chaos that comes with them. Discover what HubSpot's all-on-one platform can do to streamline your business. Visit HubSpot.com to grow better today. HubSpot.com. All right, here's where I think we should begin in this topic. The first thing is just breaking down, what are these platforms? What are they made for? And how are they measuring success? Because if we know and understand how these platforms are measuring success, then we as contributors and content creators can contribute in a way that helps those apps feel successful, but also connects our efforts to real results. So the first thing to remember is that social media is meant to be social. And I say this as a starting point to lay the foundation for today's conversation. When social media first came out, I was actually joking with some friends the other day, but we were talking about how we thought like Instagram was literally just a photo editing app. And like, if you scroll back to the beginning of many people's accounts, there were probably like 5 similar pictures of their dog just using different filters. Shout out to the Sienna filter. That was my favorite. But what's so interesting is that I feel like we're kind of on this interesting cycle when it comes to social media. And earlier this year in January, I released an episode about what my 2024 predictions were. And it was one of our most popular episodes of the year. But in that episode, I talked about how I thought that we were in this cycle of social media where we were kind of going back to our roots, bringing more socialness and community into the way that we're showing up. Why is this part of my predictions? Well, over the years, we've all kind of figured out different systems and strategies. And the more that I talk to different creators, specifically creators that maybe have like content teams or social teams that are maybe further in their journey of entrepreneurship, they're realizing that the content that they're not creating themselves is not necessarily landing. They're missing that connection and that social aspect. It's really funny, and also not funny. I am the only person that creates content for my account. So I have somebody that helps helps me kind of come up with ideas. But like, I am the person who is actually creating the content and the reels and really thinking through like, what do I want to post? And a lot of my friends, they are so hands off on their social media content. And I think that their audience can actually sense it. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't have a strategy, I don't have a system, and I definitely don't have a team, then this is actually good news for you. One of the things that I think we really have to do is kind of go back to our roots. So many of the large accounts that you may follow likely got their following from just showing up, being inspired, sharing the things that they love. And I think that as content consumers, we're getting to a place where we want more levity, we want lightheartedness, we want authenticity. One of the best things about social media is it gives you this chance for people to say, oh my gosh, me too, or wow, I thought I was the only one. I'm not alone. And when we can create content like that, we're not only just content creators, we're actually community builders. And I feel like people are getting really frustrated with social media because they are only using it to sell, when really bringing the social aspect back into it so that we are building communities and real connection. That is how we're going to start to see better results across the board. Now, one of the things that I love to teach on, and something that I like to do in my own marketing, is what I like to call breadcrumbing. Now, I have talked about this for many, many years, and it's so fun for me to actually go on Facebook and look at my Facebook memories, because I was the queen of breadcrumbs when I was first starting my business as a wedding photographer. What do I mean by breadcrumbing? So a lot of times my memories from over a decade ago will be these little statuses where I am sharing different things going on in my growing business. And when I say growing, I mean like bootstrapped business, where I would share like, oh my gosh, I just got this new camera. Welcome to the family, Nikon D300. Or like, I can't wait for Natalie and Joseph's wedding in Lake Geneva. Can't wait to celebrate. And what I was doing is I was just celebrating along the way, but in doing that, I was leaving breadcrumbs and these little nudges and reminders for people of like, oh, Jenna's a photographer. Oh, she got this new camera. Oh my goodness, she just booked a wedding in Lake Geneva. That's amazing. And just sharing along the way. And one of the things that I think we often forget is that when we're starting out, and even at my point, like we often don't have a whole PR team dedicated to getting the word out about what we're doing. And so we have to be our own PR. We have to be our own publicist. And in doing that and in consistently sharing and letting people into the journey, whether you're taking a course and you're learning something new, or you're journaling every day, or you're excited about a new idea or a new product or a new service, you need to be showing up and leaving these breadcrumbs. And every time you do that, it just is this gentle reminder of like, oh yeah, they're doing that thing. There's that thing that they're doing. You're staying front of mind. And so we want to focus on creating content that creates connection, builds community, leaves breadcrumbs. And this next part, we have to focus on being people and creators who serve before we ever go to sell. Recently, I was in a room of really, really talented entrepreneurs. And one of them was like, I just like have nothing to say. And then when I go to sell, like nobody does anything. And I was like, okay, so we're not actually serving before we go to sell. And that's like a problem. We want to make sure that we are consistently connecting before we ever go to sell something. And one of the biggest mistakes I see people make often is that they're working behind the scenes on different projects, or maybe even starting their business or their new website or whatever it is. And they're working so diligently behind the scenes, but they're not letting anyone in on the journey. And all of a sudden they go to launch this new thing, this thing they've been working so hard on, and nobody cares. And it doesn't connect. And nobody really understands what it is or why it's a big deal to this person. And that's because they weren't serving or leaving breadcrumbs before they ever went to sell. And so it is so important that we let people in to our lives, our work, our projects, so that when we go to launch something, they're like, oh, there it is. They've been talking about that for months. I'm so excited for them. I'm so happy for them, right? And it's so unnatural for us, right? Like, It's so interesting because I feel like we live in two camps. There's this camp of us that's like living in this show and tell world of like, look at how great my life is. Look at how amazing it is. We're building out those curated highlight reels. And then there's also this behind the scenes world where maybe our work feels like more sacred, or maybe we're just afraid. Maybe we're battling imposter syndrome. Maybe we're thinking nobody cares about this. And so it's interesting because when we look at these two camps, the highlight reel one isn't necessarily connecting. It's more about this person, this creator, and centering them as this magnificent person, which I'm sure that they are, but there's nothing about serving in it. And the other camp is just hiding. And then they go to launch and they're wondering why people aren't responding. And so we've got to find this balance.
Hey, goal diggers. Lately, I've been getting excited to finish furnishing our new home, which is why I want to tell you about a brand that we absolutely love, which is Article. I have been a fan and a customer of Article for years. I'm always blown away by the curated assortment of furniture styles they offer. They have mid-century modern, coastal, industrial, Scandinavian, and even boho designs. There is something for everyone, no matter your taste. In our last house, we had their sofa and leather chairs. At our lake house, we have their dining table and chairs. We also just ordered some of their outdoor furniture for our new patio. Like, if you can't tell, we are obsessed with Article. The quality and style are top notch. Article's online only model means that they can offer some great prices with fast and hassle-free delivery. Pick the delivery time that works for you, and they keep you updated every step of the way. Article's customer is also amazing. They're knowledgeable, friendly, and always there when you need them. If you're like me and you're itching to give your home a makeover, I highly recommend checking out Article. They believe in delightful design for every home, and thanks to their commitment to style, quality, and affordability, it's never been easier to transform your space. Article is offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. To claim, visit article.com/goaldigger and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/goaldigger for $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. Goal diggers, we all know the B2B landscape can be a bit complex. From lengthy buying cycles to complicated decision-making processes, reaching your target audience can be tough. But I found a solution tailored just for you: LinkedIn ads. A whopping 79% of B2B content marketers say LinkedIn produces the best results for paid media. That's because with LinkedIn ads, you're not just casting a wide net and hoping for the best, you're strategically building relationships and driving real results. We're talking about a platform with over 1 billion members, including 180 million senior level executives and 10 million C-level executives. You are networking with the actual decision makers. And LinkedIn's targeting and measurement tools are specifically designed for B2B marketers, meaning you're not wasting time or money on irrelevant leads. In fact, in the tech industry, LinkedIn ads have been shown to generate 2 to 5 times higher return on ad spend compared to other social media platforms. Using LinkedIn ads allows you to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to industry trends and developments, whether it's finding the perfect partner for a collaboration or uncovering new opportunities for growth. LinkedIn can be your secret weapon. Make B2B marketing everything it can be and get a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/goal to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/goal. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, so how do we bring more socialness into social media? So first, one of the greatest habits that I've gotten into is to ask myself, is now a good time to post? Meaning, am I fully available? Can I stay on and engage? So I always tell people, don't post and ghost. So if you are somebody who is trying to sell on social media, in just a bit, I'm going to give you some other ideas that might work a little bit better. But regardless, whenever you go to publish a post, you want to make sure that you are online, you are available, and you are engaging. So the minute people are leaving comments, even if it's one comment, make sure you're responding. And one really cool tip or trick here is to ask them a question. So if somebody says like, OMG, I love this, you could say like, what hit you the most about this? Or what did you love? Or what's something great in your life? And getting the conversation going. Not only does that help the algorithm see that engagement and get your post seen by other people, but it also kind of shows that you're active in your community. I see people who use like scheduling tools and they'll post and people will maybe be asking a question like, where'd you get that shirt from? Or like, where are those earrings from? And they're not engaging. And it's such a disservice to the community because they just stop asking questions notifications at some point because they're like, they're not even going to see this. They're not even going to respond. But it's also a disservice to you as a creator because you spent time creating something and you're not getting the most out of it because you're not even willing to be on and engage. So ask yourself, is now a good time to post, and then be ready to engage. If we truly want to build community, we have to be an active participant in that community. And I just think that is so, so huge. Another thing that we want to do is to really make sure that what we're doing is working. So I did an episode 748, is your social media strategy working for you? Do this to find out. And I talk about our process of auditing. I think for so many people, when we're on social, we're either like trying the trends and we're like, we try it once and we're like, that didn't work, on to the next one. Or we're not actually measuring what is working. I love to think about Shark Tank. I love the show Shark Tank. And I think about like when Mark Cuban is like, all right, what is your average order value? What is your cost per lead? What is your cost per customer? What is the lifetime value of a customer? All these numbers. And I think so many entrepreneurs, in fact, I'd argue the majority of entrepreneurs out there, one, cannot speak to those things, but two, they're not actually taking the time to really review and be able to speak clearly and confidently around what is working. And so when we are showing up online, we want to make sure that the strategies that we're using are, one, in alignment with the way that we want to show up and our values, but two, that they're actually working. And if you don't take the time to do an audit, which doesn't even take that much time, then you're likely just spinning your wheels. You're on that hamster wheel of content creation without a lot of clarity, without certainty that like, hey, I'm about to spend an hour on a reel and this could either like pop off or die on the vine. I want to know that the amount of time that I'm investing into social media is actually leading to a real result. And the only way you can do that is through an audit. We recently finished up a launch. And the first thing we do when we finish up a launch is that we go through and do a full social media audit. So here are, the 20 posts that we had that were with and supporting the launch. Here are the posts that did the best. Here are the posts that didn't quite perform. Here are the posts that we'd like to try again in the future. And we save everything. We screenshot everything. We make sure that we're paying attention. And so we are consistently auditing, especially around launches or things that we have going on in terms of promotions, so that we know what worked. And what's so cool about that is even if you're launching something totally different than what you've launched in the past, you have that insight and that data to guide you forward. A lot of times you can notice trends like, oh, this type of video does really well, or this type of hook is really getting people's attention, or this call to action is getting people to take action on the post. And so you want to make sure that you are auditing your content. Okay, now I might blow your mind here, but I want to talk about actually selling and what I think about it, especially when we talk about selling on social. So first things first, I kind of want to blow your mind. I believe that in this very overcomplicated marketing world that we find ourselves in, that there should only be two main goals when it comes to your marketing as an entrepreneur. Just two. In a world that tells us that we need to blog and podcast and YouTube and be on TikTok and record dancing reels for Instagram and show up on Pinterest and be on Facebook and grow a Facebook community and all these different things, I think that there should only be two main goals. The first goal and priority of every business owner should be to grow and serve an email list. Email is the number one way I drive profits in my business. You get a 4,300% ROI on an email list. For every dollar you spend, you should get $43 back in marketing. And I just believe that should be the number one objective, no matter what type of business you're in, no matter what you're selling, whether it is a product, a service, an offer, that is the number one goal. Now, when you know that as your primary goal, the secondary goal of every entrepreneur and their marketing efforts should be that any other platform that they are creating for should be ultimately pointing people off of that platform and onto their email list. What do I mean by this? When I create this podcast, I love that you're here and I love that you're listening, but my hope is that it doesn't just end on this platform. I would love to show up and serve you in your inbox. When you are on my Instagram and you are following along, I would love to get you off of Instagram and onto my email list so that I can more intimately serve you, but also give you the offers and invitations that actually excite you. When I am on Pinterest, I am sending traffic to my website. And guess what happens? When people land on my website, I have a plan to try to capture their name and email and get them on my email list by adding value to their life and serving them. Can you see how this works? And so if your main priority is to grow your email list, then any other effort that you do online should be to connect with people and then invite them off of the platforms. Why is this important? Remember in this intro when we were talking about TikTok and how it might just be shut down? Some people are going to lose the only way that they have to connect with their audience. That's the reality. And guess what? We face that no matter what platform we're on because we do not own and we cannot control these platforms. Try as we might, we are battling hundreds of algorithms on a daily basis. Now, these platforms are not necessarily meant for selling. That's kind of the hook of this episode. How to sell on social? The truth is that we shouldn't necessarily be selling on social. When we look at what these platforms are set up for, they are set up so that companies like Meta are looking at how long is the average user staying on the platform. That is the metric that they are tracking. They want us to be addicted to their platforms, and dang it, they do a good job of it, right? But when they're looking at that, that means that they want people to be consuming content that excites them and keeps them engaged. That doesn't necessarily mean that they want their people being sold to or that they want their users clicking off and going to your shop or going to purchase something. Yes, people can curate products that they love. And yes, you can effectively run ads on these platforms. But when we know at the core of how they are created, they are meant for serving, entertainment, education, distraction, and they're not necessarily built to be monetization monsters for us, it changes the strategy. And so what does that mean for us? It doesn't mean you shouldn't be on social at all. It's a really effective place to build community and to connect, but it's not the end game. It's a stepping stone onto an asset that we can own, which is your email list. I've been talking about email lists since the early episodes of this podcast. It is so important that this rings true for you. Because if you are somebody who feels like you are just battling, trying to get through to people on social media, you have to understand that these platforms aren't made for that. So what does this mean for us? Well, one of the things that it means is that I believe that we should be leaning on the power of storytelling on social. We should be leaning on the ability to connect. We should be leaning on content that allows people to say, me too, or I'm glad I'm not alone. And then we should be adding in invitations into our content to get people off of the apps and onto the places that we own. Now, if somebody were looking at my social accounts and they were looking merely at engagement, they would say, Jenna, you should only talk about health and wellness. You should only talk about motherhood and marriage. Just never talk about business because that content flops. That's what somebody would tell me if they were looking at likes and comments. But what they are missing is that the posts that, quote, perform the worst actually yield the biggest results. And what is that result that I'm talking about? I'm talking about getting people off of the platform and onto my email list. Not only is that worth so much more to me in my business, but it also enables me to speak more clearly to people who are interested in what I have to say. If you are someone where you go to sell on social media and you're like, nobody even cares about this. I feel like I'm screaming to the masses. I am praying that somehow when it feeds the 10% or less of my audience that even sees what I'm posting, that the people that I'm trying to reach are in there. And so what is so interesting is that when we do the posts that, quote, perform the worst, those are the ones that are actually adding the most value and income and results for my business. And so I want to look at social media as a social place for connection, for storytelling, and for communication. And then I want to drop invitations into my content every single week of how I can add more value and really help people qualify themselves as a fit for what I'm offering so that I can get them off of the apps and onto a place where I own and can control the experience for them. So what does this look like? For me, I love long form content. So this podcast here is long form content. Blog posts are long form content. And I also love using webinars as long form content. Now, a webinar is a great way to help people really understand the what and the why behind something so that I can share with them how they can get the how. What do I mean by this? We recently did a bunch of webinars all about email list building. Can you tell I'm crazy passionate about it? Inside of the webinar, I wanted people to understand what is email marketing? What is the importance of it? What does it look like for me specifically as a business owner? And the why behind it. Why do I need an email list? Why is this important to the success of my business? Why is this a better way to serve my audience? And then I share with them how they can get the how, which is generally speaking the next invitation for the people who like how I teach, like how I show up, and want my system. Now, is it possible to do all of that on social media? I would argue it's not. It's impossible to deliver one whole hour of value in 15-second timestamps where people might not even see it. And so I use social media to serve and to help people understand and to really get the story. But then I invite them into places where I can share in a more long form way. I can give stories. I can explain things on a deeper level. I can give the next invitation for the people who are ready. Which, by the way, if you want to see what that looks like, here it is. If you want to learn how to grow an email list, if you want to go from 0 subscribers and 0 strategy to an engaged email list that lasts, I have a free training for you. Now, it might be on the wait list because we are working on getting that training back up and running because you missed live rounds of it. But if you go to growanemaillist.com, that's growanemaillist.com, you can save your seat. We've either got a wait list there or you can watch it on demand and you can check out this training. Now, this is so important because while I'm trying to cover as much ground as I can today, this is just a podcast episode. I can't go full deep into it. I can't share all the visuals that you might need to really understand why an email list is important. I can't share the full story about how I had 0 list and what happened when I started growing it. But all of that is waiting for you on that training. So again, it's at growanemaillist.com. We've linked it for you in the show notes and description for you as well. So where does this leave us? It's so interesting. Sometimes people are like, well, is it a this or that? I believe that it is a both and. I have not given up on social media yet. In fact, I show up on social very consistently. But the main reason why is to continue to connect, to continue to serve, and to continue to invite people off of the platforms. This is why with my 2024 predictions, I genuinely believe that people need to go back to their roots of just showing what they're doing, showing the things they love, showing what they're curious about. One of the things that I really believe when it comes to selling on social is that you can sell on social directly to your audience, but you risk 1, turning people off, 2, missing out on the ability to capture that customer's information so that you can continue to serve them, because we all know that it costs around 5 times more to acquire a new customer than it is to serve an existing one. And you miss the opportunity to really answer questions and give people the full story behind it. So when I think about social, I really want to focus on connection and serving. And I think that is the most effective way to use it. Not only are you playing well with the algorithm and keeping people on the platform longer so that they can like and engage, they can build community in your comments, they can really connect with you as a creator, but then it also gives you that opportunity to invite them into here's the next step if you're curious about this. Now, another reason why I love that, and something that I've been hearing is a common complaint when it comes to social media, is it feels like we're screaming into the void. Whether you have 100 followers or 1 million, when you are talking on social, there's often this question in the back of your mind of like, who even cares? Like, who am I talking to right now? Why am I creating this? What is the point of it? When you have an email list, you can see what people are signing up for and you can serve them better. What you can do with an email list is you can segment people. You can't do this on social. So let's say somebody was following me because they were really curious about my health and wellness routine. I can see that that's what they're curious about. And I'm not going to send them all the information on how to market on Pinterest, but that way I can connect with them on that level. I can also see who's interested in learning about Pinterest or starting a podcast or starting an email list. And I can make sure that they get all the content, all the resources, all the things that we're working on with those specific topics. Segmenting allows you to speak so much more clearly and confidently to your audience because you're talking to people who, one, raised their hand and said, I am interested in this specific topic or I want to know more about it. But it also allows you to serve them so much more effortlessly and not question, okay, why am I sending this? Or why am I saying this? Do people even care about it? Because you're hitting people that have already said, yes, I care about it. So you want to make sure that you are figuring out a way to get people off of the platforms you're on and onto a space that you own and can control. When I was starting my journey with online courses nearly a decade ago, I needed a platform that could keep up with my dreams and support my vision. And Kajabi came to the rescue. I've been a paying customer of Kajabi for years upon years. They are the only platform I use, trust, and recommend for online course creators. Kajabi is the ultimate one-stop shop that empowers you to build a thriving online business and generate predictable recurring revenue. Whether you're creating online courses, exclusive membership sites, or hosting subscription podcasts, Kajabi has got you covered. Kajabi will handle your transactions without taking a single penny of your money. That's right. You get to keep 100% of what you earn. Plus, you get powerful analytics, easy payment options, email marketing tools, and customizable website templates. The cool thing is too, you don't need a huge audience to make a sustainable income. There are thousands of creators on Kajabi making 6 and 7 figures with less than 50,000 followers. It's all about leveraging the right tools and strategies to grow your business, and Kajabi makes that possible. Right now, Kajabi is offering a free 30-day trial if you go to kajabi.com/Jenna. That's kajabi.com/Jenna. Head to kajabi.com/Jenna and join the creators and entrepreneurs who have made over $7 billion. On top of my many titles as mom, entrepreneur, and creative, I've also added host. Drew and I host on Airbnb on our favorite island in Hawaii. We started hosting as a way to make some extra income, and we've had such an easy breezy experience. Now we host year after year, and it's been a fantastic side hustle. Not to brag, but we've also been crowned Airbnb Superhost several times, so we are really killing the game. It's about having spaces we can enjoy as a family while creating memorable experiences for our guests, and it helps that we earn a little extra cash on the side. Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host. The final things that I want to talk about are leveraging data and analytics. So again, we talked a little bit about doing an audit, and an audit can give you information as to what's performing well. But if you stop there, you likely wouldn't be able to go on Shark Tank and speak to what is actually getting us results. I did an episode 762, where I talked about from data to direction, 5 interesting insights using our business numbers. And in that, I shared about how we got really specific about tracking each channel, the performance of each channel, what happens once people go from that channel onto our email list, and looked at things like where was our lowest cost per lead, or which customers were the most qualified to make a purchase with us. And so we can get really granular with data, and it might not be step one that you take with this strategy, but I want for you to know, and I want to plant seeds right now, that it exists. It exists to be able to see how many people are actually clicking the link in my bio, or how effective are Instagram stories, or what is LinkedIn actually doing when we're launching? Is it actually sending us qualified leads that turn into customers, or is it a platform that maybe isn't reaching the right people? All of the ways that we set up our data and our analytics give us clarity so that as we are planning out our content, as we are planning out what we're creating for, we know which platforms to go deep on, which platforms to let go of, and what type of content is actually working. And that episode might just be a really interesting listen for you, because I'm sharing literal numbers from my business and the results that we're tracking every step of the way just to get more clarity. And let me tell you, I didn't start tracking our numbers like this until last year. And so it was over a decade into entrepreneurship, and it is one of my greatest regrets. I wish we would have gotten granular sooner, because because it's allowed us to let go of pieces of our business that were taking up time but not actually yielding results, which I think a lot of us are struggling with, right? The average entrepreneur is spending 20 hours a week on their marketing. And I would argue that most of those hours are going towards content and platforms that aren't actually yielding results. And so how can we make sure that every minute, every hour that we're spending on our business and on our marketing is actually yielding to a result, is actually moving the needle? Okay, the final thing I want to talk about is how to build confidence. So let's say you listen to this episode and you're like, I'm going to go to growanaemaillist.com. I'm going to watch the training and understand email marketing, but I also still want to figure out how to sell effectively on social media. The way to build confidence in social selling is to do it over and over and over again. It means holding up your camera and talking to your audience like they are humans who are actually interested in what you're selling. It means speaking like you are speaking to a dear friend of yours with a recommendation of something you are obsessed with. I was recently sitting by a pool and my friend Kelly was telling me about some product and she was breaking it down and she was like so excited by it. And I was like, oh my gosh, Kelly, like if you ever go to sell that on social, literally just picture my face in front of yours and like you're talking to me because you just sold it so well. And we were talking about how when we're telling our friends about, the perfect pair of jeans or this new SPF that is amazing or this lip gloss that stays on all day, we talk differently than often how we go onto social media. We all get the phone voice, we get more rigid, we start talking about features and we stop talking in a way that actually feels like a real relationship. And so to get confident in selling on social media, even if you're selling a free offer to grow your email list, you have to do it over and over and over again. You've got to put in the reps because the more you put in the reps, the more confident you get with it, the more that you feel like you are reaching people in a way that they want to be reached. And the more that you can start to see what is working and what is not working. I always think about my one friend, Sarah. I feel like whenever I create an offer, whenever I'm writing an email, whenever I'm working on a blog post, I think of my friend, Sarah. All of my offers are so perfect for my friend Sarah. She has 2 kids. She loves being healthy and active. She is a busy mom who wants to make sure that all of her marketing efforts are actually yielding results because time is her currency and she wants to build a business she doesn't hate so that she can live a life that she loves. And everything I do speaks to Sarah. And I don't know about you, but like in the past, I've heard people talk about like the ideal client avatar and like I can't even listen to the word avatar without picturing the weird blue things from that movie. And so I have to think of a person. And when I get on social media, instead of saying like, hey guys, I think of Sarah. And I think of like, how would I talk to Sarah? What would a voice memo to Sarah sound like? How would I share about this with Sarah? And it just makes it so much more natural. And it also makes it a lot more effective. But here's what I want to tell you. I actually have kind of gotten to a place where I don't necessarily want to sell on social. I've really realized that most of my frustration around social media comes when I try to sell things. And I have to constantly remind myself, social media is not for selling. And so when I shift my focus to serving, to showing up, to adding value, to building community, to creating connection, it changes the way that I show up. It changes the way I feel about the platform. It changes the way that I look at results. And it also changes the invitations that I give to my followers to get them off of those apps and onto a place through adding free value to them, their lives, and their businesses. And so I would way prefer to sell on a free training like a webinar or inside of an email where I know that the people that I'm speaking to are people that have raised their hand, that have given me their email address, that have said, I am curious about this. I want more information so that I can drop in a much more intimate way and stay connected with them for the long haul. And so if you are someone who is frustrated, like, why is this not working? Maybe it's not you, it's a platform. And maybe these platforms aren't built for what you're trying to do. And so maybe we need to find a different vehicle that is created with the goal and intention that you have in mind, which is selling. And let me just make one last claim. Emails are meant to sell. My email list is the number one way that I drive sales and get results. It is the number one asset in my business. If everything disappeared tomorrow and I could only choose one thing to keep, it would hands down be my email list. And so I want for you to understand that if you're frustrated, if you feel like an imposter, if you're struggling to show up, there is a different way. there is a better way, and there is a way that leaves you feeling confident and like you are adding value in the way that only you can add value. Now, we have covered a lot of ground today, from the evolving social media landscape to practical strategies for leveraging platforms like TikTok and Instagram to boost your sales off of the platforms. And as we wrap up, I just want to encourage you, apply these insights to your own social selling journey. Experiment with storytelling, host webinars to showcase your expertise and to serve, prioritize building genuine relationships with your audience, engage for the sake of engaging and building connection and community. Success in getting people off of social media and onto your email list takes time, it takes persistence, it takes consistency. But let me tell you, if you are someone listening to this and you want to be in business a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, a decade from now, it is time for you to focus on building an asset you own and can control, because as we are seeing unfold in real time, we don't actually own the platforms we're building our audiences on. Therefore, it is absolutely critical that we focus on getting people off of the apps and selling to them in a space that they are receptive to the messages and excited about the invitations. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Goal Digger Podcast. I hope you loved it, and I can't wait to see you show up and serve on social media. Until next time, Goal Diggers, keep on digging your biggest goals.
I'm over here giving you a virtual high five because you just finished another episode of the Goal Digger Podcast. Did that go by way too fast for anyone else? If you want more, head over to goaldiggerpodcast.com for show notes and all the discount codes from today's sponsors. And if you're looking for a new crew of movers and shakers like you to bounce ideas and ask questions, be sure to join my exclusive community for Goal Diggers on Facebook. The link's waiting for you at goaldiggerpodcast.com. Hey, Goal Diggers. Lately, I've been getting excited to finish furnishing our new home, which is why I want to tell you about a brand that we absolutely love, which is Article. I have been a fan and a customer of Article for years. I'm always blown away by the curated assortment of furniture styles they offer. They have mid-century modern, coastal, industrial, Scandinavian, and even boho designs. There is something for everyone, no matter your taste. In our last house, we had their sofa and leather chairs. At our lake house, we have their dining table and chairs. We also just ordered some of their outdoor furniture for our new patio. Like, if you can't tell, we are obsessed with Article. The quality and style are top notch. Article's online only model means that they can offer some great prices with fast and hassle-free delivery. Pick the delivery time that works for you, and they keep you updated every step of the way. Article's customer is also amazing. They're knowledgeable, friendly, and always there when you need them. If you're like me and you're itching to give your home a makeover, I highly recommend checking out Article. They believe in delightful design for every home, and thanks to their commitment to style, quality, and affordability, it's never been easier to transform your space. Article is offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. To claim, visit article.com/goaldigger, and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/goaldigger for $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more.